our project, the number of test scripts will continue to grow. However, we may need to run only a few of those test scripts as they increase. Therefore, in this session, you will learn how to run all of your test scripts from the project and all of your test scripts from a package. You will also learn how to run a subset of your test scripts. For example, let's look at this diagram. It shows a project with two packages. Both packages have two Python files. Package 1 has a file called testfile1 and testfile2. Package 2 has a file called testfile_abc and testfile_xyz. There is a total of 9 test scripts. I will demo how to run every test in the entire project, then demo how to run all test scripts in one of the packages, like test 7, 8, and 9 in package 2. After demonstrating how to run all test scripts, we will transition to running only a subset. For instance, I may show you how to run test 1 and test 9. Although they are in different packages, PyTest provides a way for us to execute a subset from different packages. PyTest also allows us to run a subset from the same package. For example, only execute test 2, test 5, and test 6 from package 1. Let's dive into running each test from the project. We're going to start by going to our automation test script. We will load the AUT, search for an iPhone. Click the search button, then verify a value like iPhone. So just walking through this whole thing, search for iPhone, and once I click the search button, this is the text we're going to verify that it contains iPhone. Let's inspect this field, search for products. And when we inspect, we see it has an input tag, but there is no ID attribute. So let's use the placeholder attribute. Search for products. We find it by writing 2/, input, square brackets. Within the square brackets, at placeholder equals the single quotes. Within the single quotes, we're looking for search for products. Bingo. Now I will copy this value, then go to PyCharm. In PyCharm, the project is called PyTest Tutorials. It has two existing packages called Demo First Test and Demo PyTest. The Demo First Test package has one Python file. Within that Python file, there are 4 test functions. However, 3 of them are valid test functions. We see test lambda test playground, that's one valid function. Test 2, lambda test e-commerce is the second valid test function. And test Rex website is the third valid test function. Google test is not a valid function because it does not begin with the word test. Now, I will create a new file inside this demo PyTest package. Right click, select new Python file. The name is, let me do that again. New Python file. The name is, let's make it test underscore multiple subset underscore iPhone. Now, within this Python file, we're going to create our test script from Selenium by importing WebDriver. Also from Selenium, driver.webdriver.common.by. We're going to import the by class. Now, the next step is to define our test underscore search underscore lambda test underscore, let's make it e-commerce. This is our test function name. And now that we have the test function name, I'm going to create an instance, driver webdriver.chrome, because Chrome is our browser. Next is to maximize the window. After maximizing the window, we load the AUT with driver.get. Now, I will come back and paste the URL. The next step is driver.findElement, and we will use the XPath. So by.XPath, and I'm going to place this information on the next line so we can make sure that we see all of the information we need. And within this here, I'm going to perform the action on the next line as well. Send keys is how we send the information, and I'm going to send iPhone. Now, let's go back to the AUT to copy the URL. Then paste the URL inside driver.get. Now, the next step is to click the search button. So let's inspect. We see the button tag. Find this element by writing 2/. Let's go back and inspect again. I want to make sure it does not have an ID value, but we can use the text of search. Yes, so button, square brackets. Within the square brackets, I write text, parenthesis, equals single quotes, and within the single quotes, we put the value of search. Going to copy the value, then go back to the AUT. And in the the IDE, PyCharm, we find the element by writing driver.findElement by XPath. And like the other code lines, I'm going to paste the value. And for the button, we click. At this point, we're going to inspect the value that we need, and that is iPhone. So when I inspect, we see it has an H1 tag. Okay, and I'm going to search for, we're going to find the word search, because search will be a constant value no matter what value we enter for the product. So to find that information, I'm going to write 2/, the tag name of H1. And let's make sure that it contains search. And this is how we're going to write search. Okay, now let me start over and do it again. H1 contains, on the inside, I'm going to put text. I know what I did wrong. I put an equal sign the last time, I believe, but it should be a comma. And now search, bingo, found that element. Go back to the IDE, and we find it by writing driver.findElement. We find the element by XPath. And like the other values, I'm going to paste this value of XPath on the next line. Bingo. Now that we found the element, to get the value, we write text. since text is the Selenium method for returning information. And now that we have that information, we can assert our phone in that value. And that value will be search_value. And let's make sure that we put our phone in search value. And that's pretty much it for that test script. Let's run all of the test scripts from the project by writing PyTest -RA-V. I saw that it collected 6 items. That's the total of items in the complete project from both packages. Now let's see how many pass and how many are going to fail. Okay, so we see 4 passed and 2 failed. Yes, notice in the short test summary info section, the package name is displayed with every test. 3 test scripts is from demo first test, and 3 test scripts from demo PyTest. After the package name, we see the Python file name. For example, for the test that we just ran, we see demo PyTest, and the file name is TestMu iPhone. Let's create one more Selenium test, but from a different package. For the second test script, we will enter a message like PyTest. Click the Get Checked Value button, then verify your message. I'm going to copy the URL. The new test will be in the same demo PyTest package, but in a different file. So I will right-click demo PyTest, then select new Python file. The name is test_multiple_subset form. Okay. Now that we have both Python files, let's begin our test script from Selenium import WebDriver from selenium.webdriver.common. And let me show the other way. And I may have showed it before, but we really do not have to write the import statements manually. We can also just click the button and put import class. So for the second import statement, I'm not going to write it. I'm going to show you how we can also hover and import. So the next step, I'm going to write define the function of test_lambda test_simple form demo. Driver equals WebDriver.chrome. That's us creating an instance. Now, I like to maximize the window. And after maximizing the window, that's when we're going to paste the URL. Now, let's inspect the field. It has an input tag with an ID attribute. Let's check if the value for ID is unique by using the shortcut for the hash symbol and use a message. And it is not unique because it shows 1 of 3. There are 3 elements, with the same ID. We cycle the elements, and 2 of the elements are not within the input tag. So let's change the value from CSS selector using the hashtag and the value to XPath. And we do that by writing input at ID equals the value. Bingo. Now it's only one element because it shows 1 of 1. So let's copy this value, go back to the IDE, and first we find the element, then perform an action on the element with driver.findElement by XPath. And you see how by had the red line under it? That's how we can import the by class. And let me come back and paste this information before importing the by class. And we are going to hover by and see how it says import selenium.webdriver.common.by in the by class. Once we click it, you will see it shows up on line 2. So we could have manually wrote it like I did in the previous module, or just hover by. Now, after we find the element, we will perform an action on the element, and that action will be send keys. How about we send, PyTest is a test framework. Let's go back and inspect the button on the AUT. Get checked value. And we see it has an ID value of show input. Let's check if the show input value is unique. I'm going to copy, write the hash symbol, show input. It's unique. Yes, so now let's inspect the message of PyTest. And it has an ID value of message. Next, we're going back to the IDE, and let's click the button by writing driver.findElement by ID. And the value was show input. .click is the action. At this point, we want to return the message. We return the message by writing driver.findElement by ID. The value of ID was message. .text. We can assert the message equals PyTest is a test framework. Now, we are finished with this Selenium test script. Let's run all of the test scripts from the project, which include 2 packages and 3 files a different way. The last time we ran the package by writing PyTest-aura-a-v. We can also use the path by right-clicking the project. Let me show you this way. Even though it's longer, just want to show you a different way. We can right-click the project, and after right-clicking the project, we select Copy Path Reference. Select Absolute Path. This time, we write PyTest, then paste the path name, followed by aura-a-v. Collected 7 items. That's 3. And let's see how many test scripts pass and how many fail. So while this is running, I want to say using the project path reference is a good way if we change the directory. We see 2 failed and 5 passed. So when I mentioned that it's a good way if we change the directory to, how about we put CD for change directory, demo first test. Bingo. Let me do this. Okay, so we're now in a different directory. Now that we're in a different directory, we can see it shows / demo first test. PyTest would not run for the entire project because the directory is set to one package, which is demo first test. So if we add the project reference like we did here and run again, we will still see the same test scripts, which is 7. That's a good way how we can use the path reference and run for all projects because we're now in a project that's set to a certain package. Let's run again and I will show you. We saw how it collected 7 items. So that's just another way of how we can use the reference. And while this is running, I'm going to transition to the next topic in this session. And that next topic is running our test scripts from the package, because we're finished with running our test scripts from the project. Now for running our test scripts from the package, let's go back to the IDE and it should be finished running. Yes, so just like the previous time, 7 test scripts were collected. At the top, we should see 7 collected. Yes, 7 items were collected. And for those 7 items, we see how many passed and how many failed. And this is the info from the previous session where we dealt with assertions, the difference between hard assert and soft assert, failure 1 and failure 2, showing 2 different ways with the different objects, the titles, and we see the short test summary info. Now, when it comes to running test scripts from the project, a package, there is more than one way to run our test scripts from a package when you're in the package. Currently, the directory is pointing to demo first test. To run each test from this package, we write PyTest -RA and V. This command will execute test scripts in the root directory. We see it returns 3 items. 3 items were collected. And I believe all 3 items should show pass, but we'll make sure when it's finished executing. 1, 2, 3. Each test passed from this package. This command only runs for that particular package because of how we set the directory. If you wanted to execute each test in the other package, we need to go back by writing CD space 2 dots, and it takes us to the root directory. Then the other package name is CD demo PyTest. Now run every test in this package with the same command of PyTest. Let me make some more room. PyTest -RA-V. Four test scripts were collected in this package. 2 should fail and 2 should pass, but let's make sure. Bingo. 2 failed and 2 passed. Another way to run our test scripts in the package is by passing in the package name as an argument. Let's go back to the root directory, CD and 2 dots. We'll go back to where we do not see /demo PyTest. Then we write PyTest demo PyTest, which is the package name, -RA -V. And we should see those same 4 test results. Bingo. Yes, we see the same 4 test results, 2 failed and 2 passed. We can also run a test from more than one package. For this example, we pass in both package names. PyTest, gotta spell it right. PyTest, the first package is demo PyTest. The second package is demo 𝒆𝒏𝒆𝒔. Let's run. And we see 7 items were collected. Therefore, we should see 7 test results. Yes, 2 failed and 5 passed. And there are 7 test results in this short test summary info section. We are finished with running our test script from a package. The following topic will run a subset of tests from the complete project. We are going to run a subset from multiple files. Only one file, then only run from one function. So let's go back to the IDE. And in the other module for iPhone, let's create a new function, define it with the print statement. So the name, let's just make the name be test add to cart. Something simple. And just add a print statement. After this result equals, how about 1? And I'm going to make this here fail. So I'm going to put print add to cart. And the search statement is going to be result equals, how about we put 3? And we know that it will fail. Okay, so at this point, between both packages, there are 6 test functions that contain lambda test in its name. This test does not include lambda test. So to run a subset, we use the -k argument. -k runs each test that matches the substring expression. So in the terminal, let's write PyTest, then -k as the argument. The substring expression we want to match is lambda test. Then let's go ahead and add aura A and V, -V. And let's see, because it should collect all of the items, but some of the items will be deselected. Two items, I believe, should be deselected, but the terminal will let us know for sure. And out of those 6 with lambda tests, I believe 2 of them will fail and 4 of them will pass. Bingo, yes, as expected. 2 failed and 4 passed. However, notice it shows 2 were deselected because those 2 do not include lambda tests in its name. The ones that were selected include lambda tests. Lambda test for test 1, or for the first test, second test lambda test, lambda test, lambda test and lambda test. And the last one is lambda test. Yes, so now let's match one of those deselected test functions by writing PyTest. And I keep spelling it wrong, PyTest. Then it does not matter if we add the arguments the different way. Like I can add -v, -ra, then the k argument. Also, we are allowed to place the substring in quotes. The last time we placed the substring without quotes. This time I'm going to add quotes and put in the word add. That's the last test function that I added for the cart. The terminal shows one failed, and that is the test add to cart function. We also see the print statement add to cart. Yes, so that was just a way of showing you how we can write the expression in quotes and also change the substrings or the arguments around. In addition to matching a particular string, we can also match a substring, not match. For example, we write PyTest -ra -v, then the -k argument. This time, within the quotes, let's put not lambda test and see what we would get. This time 6 is deselected because those 6 include lambda test. But since we use the substring of not lambda test, that's why we see 2 were collected for one pass and one failed. Test Rex website and test add to cart are the 2 functions. Let's run every test from a file. We perform this operation by passing in the file name as an argument. The key is to change the directory to that package or include that package name before the file name. Look what happens if we do not include the package name. For example, I'm going to write PyTest test underscore multiple underscore subset form. I think that's what form.py. Test multiple subset form, yes. And we see an error. The error says file or directory not found. That's what happens if we do not include the package name this way. Now, let's start over and write PyTest. Then the package name, demo PyTest. / file name, which is test underscore multiple underscore subset iPhone. Now, I'm going to also include the other arguments of -v. I put equal v, but let me change this to -v. 2 items were collected. Those 2 test scripts are from the same file. Yes, both of those are from the same file and same package. There is one more thing I want to mention about the -k argument. The substring is not case sensitive. You know how when I was typing in the name for the package and I believe the Y was capital and I went back and replaced it with the lowercase y? That's sensitive because the package name must be the same. But when it comes to the argument or the substring, it does not have to be case sensitive. For example, we see the function names are all lowercase. Test search lambda test e-commerce and test add to cart. It includes lambda test in all lowercase letters. In the command, I'm going to make it all capital by writing, you know what, I'm just going to use one of the previous commands. And I'm going to add -K, and let's put it in all caps. Then run. And you will see how this time only one is selected. And that is the one for test search, Lambda test e-commerce. So although I made it all capital, it still selected the function that has all lowercase. So one passed and one was deselected. Last but not least, let's run only one function from a file by passing in the function name. Do you see how the short test summary info section has the package name? It has the file name. Then it has 2 colons followed by the function name. This syntax allows us to run our tests using a node ID. The node ID in PyTest is built using more than one component, separated by 2 colons. The first component is the package name /name for the file. The second component is the name of the function. The second component can also be a method name or a class name. For this example, let's copy the node ID. Demo PyTest, the file name, then the function name. And now that I copied the ID value, it will return only for that function, PyTest. Let me clear this again. And I'm going to write PyTest, then paste the node ID. Bingo. Then run. And we're going to see the same test will pass. But this time, since I did not include the arguments RA and V, it passed, but we see the dot for pass, which indicates pass, and we do not see the short test summary info. And I mentioned that in the previous topic in session, the benefit of using RA and V for verbose. Now, we're going to change the directory to demo PyTest again. And I'm going to write PyTest and then the file name of, what was that, test underscore, and let me clear this one. I like to clear it and bring it to the top. I believe it was test underscore multiple underscore subset iPhone.py. This us manually writing the node ID. And then the 2 colons followed by the function name of test add to cart. And this time I would not forget to write RA and V. And we see how it only showed information for that test function only. Test add to cart. The terminal shows failed because we put assert1 equals 3. That's it for running multiple tests and a subset of the entire test. In the next session, we will cover how to group test using markers. If you would like to learn more, then make sure to follow the blogs at www.lambdatest.com/blog and community.lambdatest.com. In addition to the blogs, you can earn a certification at www.lambdatest.com/certifications. Get educated, get recognized.